Order. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is a special meeting of a special regular meeting of the City of Southfield Planning Commission. Jeff, can I get the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Bernuti.
Present.
Ms. Goodwin-Dye.
Present.
Mr. Griffiths.
Here.
Mr. Huntington.
Present.
Mr. Martin.
Present.
Dr. Stevens-Gunn is excused this evening. Mr. Willis.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum to conduct business this evening.
Okay. Can I get an approval for the agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Willis and seconded by Mr. Griffith for approval of the agenda. Mr. Spence, are there any announcements or communications?
If I may, sir, if we could have a vote on the approval of the agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we have a vote on the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, Mr. Spence, are there any announcements or communications?
There are none at this time.
Okay. I'd like to call for a public hearing on PSLU 220007.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the presentation that we're going to give is going to be both for the special land use and for the site plan, PSLU 22-0007 and PSP 22-0011. If you recall, I'll at least bring up the proposal here. In December, the Planning Commission already approved a conditional rezoning agreement for this particular property to rezone this property for a single use, which would be a conveyor type auto wash on this property. The two items that were remaining were the special land use and the site plan, thus the reason we're here this evening. So the special land use and site plan are for the property located at 30233 Southfield Road. We are on the west side of Southfield Road between Webster and 13 Mile Road. As I noted, the zoning was OS office service. The Planning Commission did make a favorable recommendation for conditional rezoning to B3 general business. Special use request is to allow for the conveyor type auto wash, and the site plan before you this evening is for the construction of a 3,677 gross square foot conveyor type auto wash with other on-site amenities. This is a closer look at the property. Currently the property does have an office building on it. I believe that it was noted in a previous meeting that it may be 10% occupied, which means 90% unoccupied. So it is a building that is from, I believe, the early 70s, so it's been there for quite some time, and basically, from an office standpoint, only 10% is occupied. As I noted, the property was zoned OS office service, but the recommendation to B3 general business. From a future land use standpoint, we're looking at the North Southfield sub-area. Site plan for the property. This has been reviewed and scrutinized a number of times by the Planning Commission over the last couple of months. But as I noted, this is for an automobile wash, a conveyor type. The entry would come off of North Road. And if you look at the image in front of you, that would be the driveway that goes north-south, just west of Southfield Road. So you come off of Southfield, you head west on North, and then you can make an immediate right into the property. Go all the way around the property. You can see all the stacking spaces that are attributed to this particular facility. They meet their stacking requirements. Actually, they have more stacking on site than what's required. They also are providing vacuums on the site, as well as new landscaping both along Southfield Road, and then significant landscaping along the west side of the property in lieu of a screen wall. So the colorized site plan kind of gives you a little easier view of what is what here, with the building there along the south side of the site, closest to Southfield Road. Again, you can see the landscaping colorized, and again, it's pretty significant both along Southfield Road and in the back. Floor plan, landscape plan, elevations. This would be the south and north side, and then the east and the west side. With that, the petitioner is here this evening to present their project further, give you a better understanding of why they'd like to be here, and hopefully explain the difference with this car wash versus the ones that we currently have within the city of Southfield. So with that, I'd ask the petitioner to come forward and explain his project further.
Good evening. My name is Rob LaBelle. I am representing Go One LLC, the applicant in this for tonight and going forward. As already been described by Mr. Spence very thoroughly, our proposal, and you folks have seen this a number of times, so I'm not going to go into great detail about what we've done here. I just want to, or what we're proposing here, I just want to do two things, give you a recap of where we're at and what we're seeking, and then also to tell you what we've done since the last meeting, as we were requested to do, to go over what additional information is needed. So as a short, very short recap, there's a recommendation to rezone this property from the Planning Commission to the B3 zone, which permits a car wash as a special land use, and we're here tonight to complete that process so we can get the special land use permit and site plan approvals. We have, like I said, been before this commission a number of times. What we're trying to do here tonight is, as was already been noted, that our proposal meets the requirements of the Southfield ordinance with regard to a special land use. In particular, this site was done in recognition that this proposal installs a use better fitting the property than the current mostly unoccupied office building. As noted, it only has about approximately 10% occupancy, and while it may have been originally designed for OS, the master plan for the city, the 2026 master plan, does envision that this type of business would be placed in this circumstance, and what we're proposing is an eco-friendly, state-of-the-art car wash that, like I said, would meet the requirements for a special land use permit. This building use that we're proposing significantly reduces the square footage and is more consistent with the zoning classification, usage, and character of the vast majority of other properties that surround this area and along Southfield Road. The proposed use will add several thousand square feet of new green space and new landscaping buffers and significantly less impervious surface. Overall, we're proposing an eco-friendly use that's consistent with the 2026 master plan, and as such, we would ask for approval. Now, with regard to a couple of things that the Planning Commission asked us specifically to do at the last meeting. Those things in particular were to meet with the Cranbrook Center Apartments, which we did. Their management office has met with us on a number of occasions, and we have promised to do a few things in connection with them, some of which have been reflected in the most recent site plan that we presented to you. In particular, we promised to repair any damage to North Drive that may be caused during construction. This is being reduced to writing with the apartment building. We've added pear trees to the landscaping as requested by the Cranbrook Center Apartments. The current plans that the city has do in fact reflect those pear trees. We will also provide to the apartment building and their management contact information for our construction team, so that during the course of the construction, they can talk directly with and address any issues that might come up. With all of that, the apartment building has told us that they are very happy with what we're proposing and have no objection to what we're proposing. I believe that the email from the apartment building describing that was sent forward to your office, so you have that in your records.
If I may, we did get a copy of that email this afternoon, that the apartment complex is satisfied with the changes that the petitioner has made.
The next item that you had asked us to talk about was the traffic study with regard to the property, and in particular, the intersection at Southfield Road and the drive called North Drive. And our traffic study, as noted by your own engineers who also approved this study, notes that there won't be any adverse effect on the traffic patterns on Southfield Road, including that there's no adverse left turn stacking on North Drive as a result of what we're proposing, in part because of all the additional stacking that we have on site that will prevent that being stacked up on the road itself. It's not even likely to occur even in peak traffic periods, as demonstrated by the traffic proposal, as I mentioned, your engineers have approved. Finally, as a result of the study session previously, we were asked to modify the landscaping on the site plan to address sight lines, I believe on the northeast corner. Is it the northeast corner? Sorry, well, southwest corner, in order to make sure that the sight lines there were capable of being used from that standpoint. So that was also modified and is reflected in the site plan that you have before you tonight. So that basically provides us with the information that you requested from us previously, as well as the description that was provided by Mr. Spence. If there's any additional information you would like from us, we'd be happy to answer that. With us tonight here are the various persons who are involved in the project and the engineers and architects, so we can answer any questions that you may have at this point. So we would ask for an approval of a recommendation of approval for the site plan and the special land use permit.
Mr. Crowe?
Yeah, I just have a few questions before the commission. Since this is a special land use, can you reiterate what your proposed hours of operation are?
Dennis Miller, I represent EWC Car Wash Systems, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Sunday 9 to 6.
Excuse me.
If I may, through the chair, so I'm sorry, I originally had Sunday 8 to 6, but it's 9 to 6?
Oh, 8 to 6, I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to confirm,
yeah.
because I already have it in,
For a second.
yeah, I have it in the recommendation already, I just want to confirm.
That's it.
So just to make sure we're all on the same page, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. And do you have the percent of green space that has increased?
Good evening. Kevin Heffernan of Stonefield Engineering. We're the project civil engineers and consultants. Existing is about 80% impervious, proposed is 63, so that's a net decrease of about 17% in the impervious pavement of the site. So,
Do you have your traffic engineer here tonight?
the engineer who put together the traffic impact study is not here tonight. But
Okay, I highly recommend he or she is available when we get to council.
understood.
Thank you. I just wanted to have a couple clarification questions.
No problem. Since this is a public hearing, now call for comments or questions from the public. You have 3 minutes to ask any questions. Is there any public that wishes to speak on this special land use? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Is there a recommendation from the Planning Commission?
Well, we'd be happy to make that recommendation, but we'll defer to the commissioners first if they have any questions.
The commissioners? Okay. Are there any questions?
I just have a comment. As far as the special use, I think it fits in with the character of the other businesses on Southfield Road. a lot of people are talking that we don't need another car wash because we have one down the street. But I think competition is good. It's good for the city of Southfield, and it's good for the residents. I'm sure they're not going to invest all this money if they're not confident that what they're doing is going to be an upgrade from what we already have. So I have confidence in this company. I think they'll do a good job, and I think what they're going to bring to the city of Southfield will benefit the residents here in Southfield. Thank you.
Mr. Griffith?
I think this is a really nice, it's a nice site plan for a car wash. It's a big site, it's deep, there's a lot of room to flow around. This is a lot bigger and deeper and easier to maneuver than most other car wash sites you'll travel through. So appreciate everything they've done. I appreciate the extra landscaping on the west property line instead of the ugly concrete walls that are the other option. And I'm glad we caught that corner clearance vision over there. So that's all clean now. But I think this is a good project. That's all. That's it.
Commissioner Willis?
Thank you. I support my fellow commissioners, but I have one question with regards to the hours of operation. And my question is, will that apply for winter and summer? In wintertime, I can see it getting dark at 5 o'clock. Would you still stay open, in the dark? I'm sure there are people who get their car washed at night, but I've never done it.
Right, those are their standard hours, but once in a while, they'll make adjustments, as it goes, and depends, time of year and such.
Okay, so it's going to be weather conditions, daylight, those kinds of things to be
Yeah.
evaluated on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Goodwin-Dye? Ms. Bermudi?
Pardon me. I had a question. It was relative to the larger vehicles, larger trucks. Will they be able to get through the conveyor belt as other cars would? Or would they have to have a special hand wash or something?
When you say larger vehicles, I'm just trying for
Yeah,
clarification, you're talking,
Yeah, the larger
Vans
SUVs
and
and that kind of, some of the trucks these days are quite large, and I wonder if your height would accommodate those.
We can double check the clearance bar height, but we did run an analysis showing a large Ford F-150 successfully navigating all the turns and stacking spaces without any issues. So when it comes to navigating the site, there should be no issues, and as well as going through the car wash tunnel itself.
okay, just clarification on what you said. She asked about larger vehicles. The F-150 is a pickup truck, that's fine. What about something like a Yukon or
Yeah, that's what I
Tahoe,
mean.
something, a larger SUV?
Yeah, I guess.
Full-size SUV.
Right. I guess dimensionally, if we're talking width and length of the vehicle, they're more or less the same, and it didn't really come close to any curbs or any permanent structures, so there shouldn't be any issues navigating the site. If you guys would like to see a larger vehicle, we'd be more than happy to provide a analysis for the next meeting with the city council.
Okay. And along with the hours that you mentioned, what would be the cost of the washes, and will you have the apps where they could go online and just zip right through?
Yes, we have the unlimited specials, and there's different,
Monthly specials and that
you have
kind
a basic and you have a
of
super.
senior special?
Yeah, like 20, I don't have them top of my head, but like $29.99 for unlimited washes for the month type thing, and that would be kind of a more premium wash, and they have $25.99, and I think you have $19.99, it's kind of basic. So they have all kinds of packages that they do, similar to other washes, what they do.
And my last question, how will you advertise for the people in Southfield to know that you have this? Will you be doing a mailing or anything?
They do a little bit of everything, marketing, the standard,
Okay.
weekly papers, the, area papers, Chamber of Commerce, all that kind of stuff. So they, obviously, get the word out, the specials, so people
Okay.
know.
Thank you. Thank you.
And at this time, I have no questions for.
Through the chair. One more question.
Is there anything?
Okay, one more question. It's, what I understand as far as drying the cars off, it's not gonna be 6 guys standing out there waiting to dry the cars. Now you just drive through and the car dries and you keep on moving. Is that correct?
That's correct, that's correct. And we have the drying methods, the new technology in drying is much better than ever. And also we have the cement that's heated at the end of that, so the cars that are dripping, we've had that question before, that, so we don't have water in the streets and winter days and ice and that kind of thing. So we've taken care of that. But when it comes out of the dryer, it's pretty dry, pretty dry.
Is there a detailing area if somebody wanted to get a little wax or something? Is that part of it?
No, we don't have that, but, we have where the vacuum cleaners are, and people do different things, how they clean, the inside of their car. If they want to touch it up or do something, once they get out of the wash, they circle around, come back in. So,
Let me ask a little bit more question. You said detailing, and then you said waxing.
Well,
waxing's part of the
Yes.
wash. We have a wash.
okay, oh yeah, the automatic wax, but, some car washes have you pull to the side, and if you want to detail, they have an area
Right.
for detailing cars also, but you don't have that, right?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I have,
When you're done.
I just have one question. You mentioned the heated driveways. I assume that's for the exit to
Right.
North Avenue?
Yeah.
So that we don't have to worry about my
That's
my
right.
questions about icing in the wintertime and that.
Yeah,
And-
the study session, we talked about the fact that the east side of the car wash itself, the pavement, as they exit, is heated for the purpose of being able to both prevent the formation of ice there, but even more importantly, to dry the car off so you're not in a situation where we have the formation of ice from it.
And it's a silly question, but does this go to the driveway or to the curb or?
It's roughly 40 feet past the exit. So if we're looking at the drawing above, it's almost to the main drive on the far east side.
That'd be North Drive, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Spence, do we have a photo of their exterior vacuum machines? You can go back to.
I think you have it. There you go. Right there. Well, that's
That's,
not a great picture. There's I think you might have, yeah.
Do you guys have any up in operation that you can provide to us so we can incorporate?
Not in the metropolitan Detroit. Closest one that we have is in Toledo.
But is it going to be similar to this? That if you could provide those photos, I know it'll be helpful for council.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a site plan question, but I know it'll come up at council. Can you just describe a number of full-time, part-time employees that you propose to have at maximum shift? Go ahead.
Oh. Like I said before, 6 full-time employees and up to 6 part-time employees. And there's always at least 2 people there, closed and open. During the day, depending on how busy it is, there's more people. And there's one, I think I told you, there's one person that's dedicated to the outside vacuum area, make sure everything's clean. Being a car wash, you want to make sure your site's clean as far as paper and debris. So there's always somebody dedicated to the vacuum cleaners that people are using if they need anything. And inside the car wash itself, there's like a little, I would say a little retail store, but just like a little store you can buy stuff, products for your car to clean. So it's got a little bit of everything inside there. And it's just a small little retail store.
so with the retail store, that opens up a couple other questions.
Okay.
Where would you expect the customers to park when going through the retail store? Is it a drive-through retail store?
Well, we have the parking on the site, and the site, with where the vacuums are, there's parking, they're all parking spaces, basically, so it's right by the front door. When you come in to the left, we have a little area. It's not, maybe it's a couple hundred square feet.
It's not a significant element.
No, it's not very big, but it's just kind of miscellaneous items that people, like to have, or air fresheners and stuff like that inside your car, and,
It's just an ancillary store.
Right.
It's not the kind of thing
Oh, I
anybody's
wouldn't-
going to make a special trip to come to the car wash to
Yeah.
buy something from our store. It's when they came there to get the car washed, they thought, what the heck, I'll pick myself up an air freshener and they'll park in one of those spots. Not going to happen all that often.
or the people who are using the vacuum cleaners will
Right.
walk in, and take a look at stuff.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I have none.
Chris, are there any site plan recommendations?
First things first, sir, we would make a recommendation on the special land use.
I'm sorry.
Commission would vote on that, and then if there are any additional questions on the site plan, you can take that time, and then we vote on the site plan separately. So if you're ready for the planner's recommendation, I could read that now, sir.
Recommendation on
Okay.
Special land use, special use request.
Thank you. So with regard to special land use PSLU 22, excuse me, dash 0007, the planning department does recommend favorable recommendation of the special use request to allow for a Clean Express Auto Wash, property located 30233 Southfield Road, suitable parcel 2411226-016, west side of Southfield Road between Webster and 13 Mile, Section 11 of the city for the following reasons. Subject to approval of PCZR 22-0001 by the City Council for conditional rezoning the property to B3 General Business for the exclusive use of the property for a conveyor-type auto wash. Hours of operation shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. Proposed use is of such size and of character that it will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the B3 General Business District. Location, size, intensity, periods of operation of the proposed use is designed to eliminate any possible nuisance likely to emanate therefrom, which might be adverse to occupants of any other nearby permitted use. Proposed use is in accord with the spirit and purpose of the chapter and will not be inconsistent with nor contrary to the objectives sought to be accomplished by this chapter and principles of sound planning. Proposed use is of such character and the vehicular traffic generated will not have an adverse effect or be detrimental to the surrounding land uses or the adjacent thoroughfares. The proposed use is of such character and intensity arranged on the site so as to eliminate any adverse effects resulting from noise, dust, dirt, glare, odor, or fumes. Proposed use or change of use will not be adverse to the promotion of the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The proposed use or change of use is designed and operated so as to provide security and safety to the employees and the general public. If I may add one additional recommendation, and the petitioner did bring it up at the beginning in part of his presentation, that the petitioner will repair any damage done to North Drive as a result of construction traffic.
To the chair. I'd like to make a favorable recommendation of PSLU 22-0007.
Support.
It's been motion by Mr. Griffith, second by Mr. Huntington. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, now we move to the site plan. Not sure if there are any additional questions from the commission. If not, then the planning department can go right to a recommendation.
Are there any questions for Rudy?
No, sir.
No questions?
Nope, I'll say it.
I think we can move on to the site plan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The planning department recommends favorable recommendation of the site plan review request, PSP 22-0011, for construction of a 3,677 gross square foot conveyor type motor vehicle wash with other amenities, property located at 30233 Southfield Road, suitable parcel 2411226-016, west side of Southfield Road between Webster and 13 Miles, Section 11 of the city, for the following reasons and conditions. Subject to the conditions of PCZR 22-0001, conditionally rezone the property to B3 General Business for the exclusive use of the site for a conveyor-type auto wash. Subject conditions of PSLU 22-0007. Landscaping in lieu of a wall along the west property line as shown on sheet C5 and sheet C6 dated 12/1/22 by Stonefield Engineering. Site shall be developed in accordance with sheet C-1 through C-4, sheets C-7 through C-9 dated 12/1/22, along with submitted elevations by Stonefield Elevation and Design. Landscape and irrigation shall be installed in accordance with sheets C5 and C6, dated 12/1/22 by Stonefield Engineering and Design. Petitioner provide a sprinkler system for all landscape areas to encourage preservation of plant material. Petitioners execute a perpetual maintenance agreement for the landscape and parking areas, both on site and in the right-of-way, which includes the maintenance of any stormwater detention system. Petitioners implement the recommendations made by the Southfield Police Department's Crime Prevention Bureau regarding site security. Approval of this site plan and/or building elevations represented herein does not constitute nor guarantee approval for signage. Separate approval and sign permits must be obtained from the building department for any proposed sign. Exterior lighting will be shielded to prevent spillage of glare onto adjacent property. Bike racks shall be installed in accordance with Article 4, Section 5.29, Paragraph 12, and the site shall be designed and developed to convey public works of art in accordance with Section 5.22-5, Public Art, Article 4, General Requirements of the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I move for a favorable, vote of favorable recommendation for PSP 22-0011.
Support.
It's been motion by Mr. Willis, seconded by Mr. Huntington for approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And if I may, to the petitioner, this is scheduled to come before council on Monday, this coming Monday, the 13th, as a discussion item, and then we'll come back later in the month for similar meeting in which they'll do their final review for you. I believe that'll be on the 27th.
I'd like to also remind the petitioner that
I'm sorry?
And just to confirm, that's my final approval.
That would be fine, yes, that would be final approval the end of February.
and that was also with the requested pictures that Mr. Crowe.
I took the notes as they suggested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. All right, Mr. Spence, can we go to PZTA 22-0005?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a text amendment, PZTA 22-0005, to add the following as a permitted use in Article 12, TVR, Television Radio District, Section 5.124, uses permitted. And that's to allow for data processing in computer centers. These types of facilities have become more and more integral to some of our TV stations, radio stations within the city. And we were approached by one of the stations. Specifically, they would like to add some data processing and computer center to the site in order to help with broadcasting, both television and radio, storage of equipment, processing, and so on. So again, what's before you this evening is to add data processing of computer centers as permitted uses in the TVR district. And this is a public hearing, so you would have to open this up to the public as well.
Okay. I'd like to open PZTA 22-0005 to the public for comments or questions. Is there any public who'd like to question or comment on the motion, on the special use request, the zoning ordinance change, that is? Seeing none, I'd like to close the special public hearing. Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions, concerns, or comments on the proposal? Mr. Huntington?
Just that I think it makes a lot of sense that something's needed, and we got to look at the future. So I think this is something the city of Southfield needs. It should fit right in.
Mr. Griffiths?
Just a clarification, I assume a data processing computer center is a very large building with hardly any people inside?
That's correct.
So I'm sure we have very low parking requirements,
Yes.
and these are on large pieces of property that are already a big campus for the television and radio. Makes sense, we're just changing with the world here.
Mr. Willis?
I have nothing to add to that, and I thank you for your comment.
Mr. Woodine? Mr. Moody?
Who will have access?
Who will have access?
Yes, who will have access to all of what would be going on?
Yeah, so
Would
so
it be
generally
only
these,
Southfield?
it would be for the property owner themselves. Generally, these facilities are pretty well secure with fences, gates, and so on. So there's going to be very limited activity, or be limited to those who are only supposed to be on the site, so it won't be open to the general public. That is basically for those who run the facilities or for those who have the data storage requirements.
Good, thank you.
You mentioned security of it. Under whose authority is the security? Is it Homeland Security, local police?
No,
Because it's a,
no, it's the property owner has the security. As if, using Channel 7 as an example, just down the street, they have a small kiosk with a guard there letting people in and out. So that's what I mean by security is it's very regulated as to who can come in and out of the facility.
oh, only reason I ask is because of the emergency broadcasts and that type of stuff. Thank you. Commissioners, any further questions?
Nope.
Can I get a motion on PZ?
If I may, Mr. Chair, I will
I'm sorry.
present the planner's recommendation, and then we can go from there. So the planning department does recommend favorable recommendation of the draft for PZTA 22-0005, draft dated January 25th, 2023, for the following reason. Proposed text amendment will amend Title 5, Zoning and Planning, Chapter 45, Zoning of the Code of the City of Southfield by adding to Article 12, Section 5.124, uses permitted, data processing computer centers as permitted use, and any other amendments that may become necessary as needed for the above in the City of Southfield. Thank you.
Mr. Griffith?
I'd like to recommend favorable recommendation of PZTA 22-0005.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to go on to PSP 22-000, I'm sorry, 0012.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So again, this is another project that has been before the Planning Commission a number of times. This is PSP 22-0012. Petitioner is Skills Gymnastics Academy. Property located 2434101067. It is currently a vacant piece of property on the south side of West 9 Mile Road between Losser and Prescott. The existing zoning is OS Office Service, and the site plan request is for the construction of a 10,600 gross square foot building for Gymnastics Academy, which is a permitted use within the zoning district. This is a little image, a little closer look at the property itself. You'll note, and I'll go backwards here, that actually there are three properties here that kind of all work together and integral. With driveways, there's no separation between any of the three parcels here. It's actually, you can free to drive from one parcel to the other. This is an aerial from 2002. There was a building on this property at one time. The building, if I recall, burned down and was ultimately removed or demoed and removed from the site. The previous building was approved as a 16,544 gross square foot building. And just by comparison, the gymnastics center is 10,600 square feet, ultimately about 5,900 square feet less in size than the previous building. Various images of existing conditions of the site. Existing conditions also including the office building directly to the west. So it's this kind of a succession of images looking from east to west toward Losser Road. As I noted, existing zoning is OS Office Service future land use for local mixed use. There is an easement agreement, as I noted, that they're basically all three of these properties are connected. There is an easement agreement from 1975 that covers these three properties. The red box going north and south here is basically the mutual means of ingress and egress to all three properties. The yellow box along the south side of the properties is basically the area that has been designated for shared use parking for all three sites. From a parking requirement standpoint, total parking required for the three uses, which would include the proposed gymnastics center, the existing office building, and then the shopping center that's on the corner of Losser and 9 Mile Road, is 154 spaces with 167 spaces on site already. So we have enough parking for all three uses. And again, these three properties are meant to share parking. Part of the site plan. This is a closer image of the building itself. Elevations. There actually have been updates to the elevations, if you recall. The public has had the opportunity to speak in the past and voice concern about the color of the building, that aqua color specifically. So what the petitioner has done is they provided two additional options to the aqua on the property or the proposal. In option one, the aqua color would remain along 9 Mile Road. However, the balance on the east, the south, and the west side of the buildings would all be charcoal gray. Option two would be a building that is all charcoal gray on all four sides. It's the floor plan for the building. And again, the inside is basically meant for activities for gymnastics, so there's a lot of equipment, as well as other areas within the site for gymnastics use. Shared use path. There is a shared use path that is proposed from Prescott all the way to Losser Road. I did talk with the petitioner and made her aware of that shared use pathway is to be constructed along the within the right-of-way. And with that, we do have the petitioner and the architect here this evening. We'll give them an opportunity to step forward and explain their project further.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yep, my name is Brian Cook. I'm the architect for the project, and I've brought my client. I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Shanisha Jackson. I'll be the owner.
So as the architect, I'm excited to bring it to the commission again, as I'm the architect on the project, but I'm also Southfield High alum and a Lawrence Tech alum. So, and this is my first project I get to bring to the city of Southfield. So I'm incredibly excited. So just on a personal note, but about the project itself, super excited because it's a youth gymnastics studio. The idea is full of gymnastics. So, you know, high bars, you know, flipping and balance beams. And I'll let my client speak to that. How everything runs. But for the most part, the building itself, it's a prefabricated metal structure for the speed of construction. And we have a brick base around the majority of the building and along the front. Added some detailing to accentuate and break up the building a little bit, along with windows. And then what you're seeing is signage for the figures, so we'll have to do a different permit for that, but I still wanted to show that so you could see the full intention of the project. The idea is to really minimize the footprint in terms of touching the whole site, because obviously we have an easement, so there's only so much we can do, but want to utilize the existing driveways and existing landscape that we can without touching the site as little as possible. So, yeah, do you want to talk about the business?
It all started with my daughter. She's 9, very advanced.
Excuse me, ma'am. Would you mind speaking into the microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you.
It all started with my daughter being in gymnastics and me giving her a better opportunity to become an elite gymnast or go to college as a gymnast. So I decided to start this business. Our operation will mainly be Monday through Saturday from 9 to 8:30, and on Sunday from 9 to no later than 2 o'clock. We will have approximately 2 recreational classes at one time with approximately no more than 10 students in each class. So a maximum of 20 students, recreational students at one time. And it will have at least one instructor/coach constructing those classes. We will also have a team, which my daughter will be part of, which will be very small. My intention is to have it very small because we come from a gym that's very large and you just become a number. So I want it to be more specific, cater and get more personal development with a smaller group. Most gyms are 20,000 square feet. Ours is 10,000 square feet, so it's significantly smaller than most gymnastics facilities that compete USAG gymnastics.
I want to talk with the site a little bit. So there is existing opaque wall all around all of the existing parking. So it's already screened in from our residential neighbors. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that.
To the commissioners, Ms. Bermudi, any questions?
I love the idea, first of all. And the color, the second choice, was it option 2? I thought that really, you know, it was the earth tones and it kind of complemented the brick. The additional lettering that you would have on the front of the building, what would that be? I didn't see anything on the pictures that I saw earlier today that, what would you have on the front of the building that would, you know, would be eye-catching?
What we'd have on the front of the building is the gymnastic figures, and then.
Is that on the front? I
Yeah,
thought
just
that
on the
was
front,
side.
yeah.
That's really very impressive, those gymnasts on there. It's very eye-catching for anyone just coming down the street. They'd know right away, you know, what it's all about. I'd like to know, how will you be advertising for the students that, you know, would potentially become one of the gymnasts there?
A lot of our advertising would be based off of social media, Brown Girls Do Gymnastics group, just building a community based off of social media. We will also like to do flyers to the neighborhoods, maybe mail flyers, and that's about it.
And the age groups that you will be?
We start from parent and tot, so 18 months, which is, if you're 18 months, obviously you're with the parent, and all the way up to 19, getting ready for college.
Thank you.
Ms. Gilbert?
Did you do, in your business plan, did you do a study of how many people would be interested in gymnastics here in Southfield to build a business?
I didn't do a study, but I do realize that a lot of gymnasts come from Southfield, come from Detroit, and they travel over an hour, myself included. I'm in Farmington, so I'm about 15 to 20 minutes away, and I travel an hour to get to a gym that can give my daughter the skills that she needs. So we're centrally located, separated at least 15 to 20 miles away from any facility. So I feel like the people who's coming from Detroit, who's coming from Southfield, maybe even Franklin or something like that, you know, the surrounding areas will have a better distance gymnastics facility, you know, within distance.
The second question is, what separates you from the other facilities besides the size?
Well, I would like to say that obviously size is one. We would like to have the options of being an elite gymnastics facility, offering it. Obviously starting small, starting from the beginning with a program called Hopes, and then into junior elite, and then into elite, and hopefully growing that program. Right now, is very little to no elite programs in Michigan that has done anything.
I'm excited when I saw it. I was, wow, my grandbabies, they're still interested.
Absolutely.
It's literally around the corner from my house.
See?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Willis?
Thank you. I'm curious, first of all, I've reached that age where standing up can be a challenge. So, in this twirling world, are there like industrial standards to say this is the way you operate a facility like this? Or is this kind of just individually controlled?
Well, if you participate in USAG, they have safe sport, so you have to follow programs. You know, if anything goes wrong, if you treat gymnasts, wrong, you can get reported to safe sport. They require training. They require CPR. Well, will require CPR classes. But for the most part, each gym is ran individually by its owner.
Okay. Okay. You've also said your gym is half the size of a normal gym. Sometimes I would think the normal gym becomes an economic thing. If you are successful, would you look at expanding, or is that something that's possible?
Maybe, but I'm really looking at to just have an individual small team and to cater. I don't want it to become just a number. I want it to become a real profession for these kids, because once you get 24 students on one team, you can't really pay attention. And then in my eyes, that's when injuries start happening. You just can't keep track of it. So if I was to expand, I would get another building, and we would have to have a lot more coaches. And then again, that location will also have to be small and intimate.
Okay. I'm blown away by what you're trying to do, so you take care. I'll pass the time.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffiths?
A few different directions I'm going to go here. I guess I want to address the pre-engineered metal building. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's very smart, given the shortage of construction labor. You got a pre-made site ready to put this rectangle in the middle of it. Speed, sooner you open, the sooner you can make money and teach, let kids do their thing inside. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a very modern style of building. I don't think it's a pole barn, in quotes, which people will use as a bad term, just to prepare you for maybe your next meeting. I appreciate the upgrades you've done, including the masonry on the bottom, which is a zoning requirement, but it takes it up quality level. The windows along 9 Mile. I don't think anyone should be able to tell you what color to paint the building that you're purchasing, but I do kind of like the idea of the gray on the sides and the back. Now that I see it, it looks like teal is your logo color. So, I think bringing a little bit of teal onto the back, which is really the main entrance, would not be a bad thing. And I really like the silhouettes of the gymnastics as something that's, it's going to be a gray area. I consider it more of a public art that also kind of gives some excitement to what's inside. I don't consider it signage. That may be an argument you have to continue talking about, but I think that's what makes the 9 Mile side of the building look interesting. I think those are all good things. Got 2 teenage daughters. We tried gymnastics. She's into horseback riding now, so now we got to drive even further away. But, we do indoor softball training. We do karate. We do volleyball. We spend a lot of time at these type of buildings. It's a good thing for everybody. It's every day of the week. I know there's the changeovers of this class lets out, the other class comes in. So I think your shared parking is going to really help you there. It's a part of our lives right now. So I know I know what you're going through and your passion, and appreciate you investing in, in the city with this project. I think it's a good project at this location. I think it's a nice project.
Thank you.
Commissioner Huntington?
First of all, I want to say I do like the aqua color, a lot more than the gray. The gray looks kind of dead, and the aqua makes it look more like a gymnastic facility. Hopefully you can get to the elite level, because I think that'd be something really special for the city of Southfield. Like I said, there's very few of them around, especially in Michigan, and I think that would bring something very special to the city of Southfield. I I think I asked you before, but I'm gonna ask you again for the record. Are you gonna have any tournaments inside there, any special events at all?
Absolutely not, it's not big enough for that.
Okay.
No, if we do decide to host a tournament, we will rent out another venue.
Okay. Okay, that's it for me. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a couple of questions for you. Are there any state requirements for gymnastic training facilities?
There is no state's requirements. No licenses, no.
Are there any professional trainers that would be used, or what type of training staff would you have for?
So I have 2 gymnastics, 4-year, Division I, Big Ten, gymnastics graduate from college coming in to start the program with me.
And being gymnastics, we can expect people will have injuries. Is there any professional medical care or any type of physical health professional that would be available or on staff or something?
So we will provide CP. It will not be any medical professional on staff, no. But we do provide training. We will have training for our employees, and myself included, for CPR and injuries that is common amongst gymnastics.
Okay. And I believe before I was asking questions about the stanchions or the bars that would be used for rings, because I know that for the rings, you see players gymnasts being lifted up to the ring so they can have them and doing the flips and that. What type of structure would you be using for to make sure that the rings are safe and anchored and all that type?
So we are using this company called GMR. They are providing the foundation work for us to screw them into the ground. We use uneven bars, men use parallel, and men use rings, and they're all secured to the ground.
Okay. And I assume then that there's a cover for the support poles that would go into the ground, so that if in some other use, it's not going to be a safety hazard for someone on the floor.
No, so each area is separated. Anybody's flipping is not going to be anywhere near uneven bars. Each area is separated for that specific, if you can see the
So in essence, you're saying that the equipment is stationary. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, that kind of answers my question on that. I think it's an excellent idea. Looking at one of the other proposals we had for 9 Mile with the dome and having that facility relatively in distance, I think that's a good idea. I think that brings more top-level athletics to available for the students in the city. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Mr. Gordon?
I'm a skilled trade. So what type of preventative maintenance on your equipment will you have? And will you have, or will you have that same company come in to do the preventative maintenance?
So we'll have a crew come in often, not sure how often, but very often, to check the stability of the, things that we have installed. Our equipment, most of our equipment will be rented, so the part that's rented, they will come in and check on it and replace anything that's malfunctioning. So yeah, that is definitely something we will keep a close eye on.
I would suggest you put it on a schedule.
Yep.
Because just from working in the auto industry, if you don't put it on a schedule,
You forget.
you will miss it.
Yep.
Okay? And that will minimize people getting injured on equipment that is faulty.
Will do.
Commissioners, any further? Okay. Mr. Spence, can I get the planning recommendations?
Thank you, sir. With regard to PSP 22-0012, The Planning Department does recommend favorable recommendation of the site plan review request of Skills Gymnastics Academy to construct a 10,600 gross square foot metal building for proposed gymnastics school on property located 21751 West 9 Mile, suitable parcel 24341011067, south side of West 9 Mile between Losser and Prescott for the following reasons and conditions. Site shall be developed in accordance with sheet AS 102, dated 1/5/2023 by Develop Architecture. Elevation shall be developed in accordance with sheet A201, dated 12/5/22 by Develop Architecture. Subject to the recorded easement agreement for parking and driveway access dated August 2nd, 1975, which includes the subject property and 2 properties to the west. Petitioners to install 8-foot wide shared use pathway along West 9 Mile Road frontage. Landscape and irrigation shall be installed in accordance with city standards. Petitioners provide a sprinkler system for all landscape areas to encourage preservation of plant material. Petitioners execute a perpetual maintenance agreement for the landscape and parking areas, both on site and in the right-of-way, which includes maintenance of any stormwater detention system. Petitioners implement the recommendations made by the Southfield Police Department's Crime Prevention Bureau regarding site security. Approval of the site plan and/or elevations, building elevations represented herein does not constitute nor guarantee approval for signage. Separate approval and sign permits must be obtained from the building department for any proposed sign. Exterior lighting will be shielded to prevent spillage of glare into adjacent properties, and bike racks shall be installed in accordance with Article 4, Section 5.29, Paragraph 12. Thank you.
Can I get a recommendation?
Through the chair. Move for a vote of favorable recommendation for PSP 22-0012.
Support.
It's motion by Mr. Willis and seconded by Ms. Bermudi for favorable approval of PSP 22-0012. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving along, we will go to approval of the minutes for December 7th regular study meeting, study meeting, and the December 14th regular meeting of the Planning Commission. Do I have a motion?
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes for December the 7th, 2022, and December the 14th, 2022.
All those in favor? Ms. Bermudi?
Support.
Oh, okay, supported by Ms., motion by Mr. Huntington, supported by Ms. Bermudi. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed. Okay. Mr.
Public
Spence, public comments? I'm sorry. We're open for public comments. Does anyone have any public comments they'd like to make to the commission? Understand that there's a 3-minute limit and that the agenda stated specifically what the requirements are. They're written.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Thrasher. I'm at 21698 Mahone, directly behind where this gymnastics center is going to be built. I'm in a really state of shock because I received a notice from the city that this matter had gone on to city council, that they would be voting on it on the 13th. Your meeting on the 25th was canceled due to weather, or 26th, whatever it was, and then immediately the day after, we get a letter stating that this matter goes on to city council for a vote on the 13th. I'm really confused by that. If it wasn't for my neighbors calling me to let me know that you were discussing this tonight, I wouldn't be here. I don't hear any comments about the impact on the subdivision behind this facility. Beautiful facility. I really would love to see that in the city of Southfield, but that is not the right location for it. It is not the right location. It's obvious that you're not taking into consideration neighbors behind us. I've lived there for 35 years. This is going to be in my backyard. So there's going to be a for sale sign. I want it to age in place. My husband and I, we've raised 6 children, 3 grandchildren. We have a beautiful view right now, and I don't want my view obstructed by a gymnastics center. There are 10 homes that are going to be impacted. There's a house right next to where this is built, a residential home. You're not even looking at the residences. You're just looking at a business that's trying to come into the city, which again, I applaud. So I just want to be on notice that we have a petition. Our neighbors are up in arms over this. We have 50 people who have already signed the petition who do not want this building in our neighborhood. So I want to let you know the fight is on. The matter is not a done deal. I'm going to the media. I'm going, ballistic on this.
Just as a point of information, a public hearing was held on this, and there were many residents from the area that did speak on this plan. Thank you. Are there any further comments? Sorry, that. You state your name and address for the record, please.
Seam Underwood, 27906 California Drive, Lathrop Village. Can you hear me? Yeah, I heard the person that just came up here, and I'm thinking, okay, looking at this facility and an impact that it will have on the residents behind and to those that are impacted by this, I don't really see listening what the problem would be in terms of noise or a visual obstruction or something negative based upon the current surroundings. I think this would help to beautify. I look at the purpose of it, and I think that this would be something that would be positive to the community. I really don't. I'm surprised there's so many people that have an issue with it because, I'm a very critical person. I know change is hard, but I'm failing to see what the problem would be with this particular facility relative to any of the other establishments around it in terms of what it stands for, and it seems like a very positive venture, as you all seem like you understand this. But I understand that the community has some issues, but I guess my question is, what is the issues with this coming up, and what negative impact are people fearing in the community? I guess this is sort of a question. It seems like I just don't understand. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hello, everyone. Darlena Harvey, 13785 Cornell. I've been in Southfield for over 20 years. My daughter went to Southfield Public Schools, and I think that the gymnastic facility would be a great addition. And also, it's going in an area where there was a building already there. So as far as an obstruction, I don't see what the difference was with the other building that was there and putting another beautiful building in that same spot, especially one that would bring an event center to the city of Southfield, where all of our children usually have to drive outside of their residence or their area where they live to go to a facility like this. And I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of the gymnastics center. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Seeing no further, are there any further comments? I'd like to close the public comment period. And we'll go to the Planning Commission meeting schedule for 2023 to 2024.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packets, we have provided to you the meeting schedule for the remainder of the year. So this would be from February through January of 2024. Let me kind of go through this portion first. There's the calendar right there. So what we are asking is the Planning Commission to make a recommendation to approve the Planning Commission 2023 calendar.
Any comments or questions?
No comments.
Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith?
I'd like to make a motion for favorable approval of the calendar for this year.
It's a motion by Mr. Griffith, supported by Ms. Goodwin Dye for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next is the Planning Commission's annual report for 2022.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure if I'm doing this or if City Planner Crode is.
I'm going to have some opportunity at council, so I'll let you go
Okay, all
tonight.
right.
But I will ask, though, in the past, we have had at least a representative of the Planning Commission make some introductory comments when we share this with the council. So hoping either the chair or the vice chair or a representative from the Planning Commission can join me when we schedule this presentation for council. And I would imagine that we'd like to try to get it on the February 27th meeting.
Yep, so with that,
All right.
yeah, with that, I will proceed here. So this is your 2022 annual report. It is required that we go through this process in accordance with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. That does state that a planning commission shall make an annual written report to the legislative body, that being the city council, concerning its operations and the status of planning activities, including recommendations regarding actions by the legislative body related to planning and development. We typically add in the members of the Planning Commission as well as the planning team, so those are there. From the standpoint of Planning Commission activities, in 2022 you had 35 total meetings. 15 of those were study meetings, 15 regular meetings, and 5 long-range study meetings. Also, because the planning department facilitates or sits on particular boards, those are included here as well. City Center Advisory Board held 9 meetings. The Southfield Public Arts Commission held 10 meetings. And the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is basically facilitated by the Building Department, also had 9 meetings. Review items, and this is, it's kind of a short list of the things that you had done last year. Above and beyond the information that's in the annual report itself with the various projects, the descriptions that are there. This is kind of a small synopsis. We looked at the expansion of the Northwestern Highway Corridor to include the 27,400 Northwestern Highway property, if you recall that. We added mixed-use corridor district MUCD regulations to allow for more dense development along 9 Mile, 10 Mile, and along 12 Mile. Updated the technology corridor or development district, which basically is Telegraph Road, to allow for electrical vehicle research, testing, repair, and maintenance facilities. We also did interviews and currently employ 2 new employees. One is a sustainability planner, and then our planner 1, Alex, who's here this evening with us. Capital improvement plan presentations, which is something we do on a yearly basis. And actually, you will have a meeting next week, Wednesday, to discuss capital improvement plan. City Center Trail, diversity, equity, inclusion, master plan preparation. As you know, that process has been going on for the last couple of years, and we are nearing the end of the master plan process here, hopefully by the end of this month or into the next. Non-motorized transit expansion. We continue to add shared use pathways along a number of our roadways here. Specifically, if you recall, the project that we just had, we actually have extended a shared use pathway from Evergreen Road all the way to Lasser. From Evergreen to Prescott is already constructed, and I believe that from Prescott to Lasser Road will be constructed sometime soon. Northland City Center, that continues to develop. Tapestry of Community, Community Build, which was an art project adjacent to the LTU site. From a zoning ordinance amendment standpoint, I've already noted the expansion of the Northwestern Highway Corridor District, the MUCD, the electronic vehicle research, but also adult use marijuana. I will tell you that council is currently going through the review on that. Actually did approve adult use, and now we're at the portion of putting together the licensing ordinance for that. Planning Commission initiatives, potential expansion of the mixed-use development corridor, and that's there because as we get projects for mixed use, we'll be evaluating whether or not to expand that or not. Automated delivery systems with robots, citywide broadband and Wi-Fi. The Planning Commission had asked about a visioning session for the commissioners, as well as a visioning session with the City Council. So we hope that that is something that can be facilitated. Regular reports from planning staff to the PC on council actions that have been taken, the capital improvement plan I noted, LTU summer camp. This was actually very successful last year in June, which will be happening again as an introduction to landscape architecture, which will take place July 17th through the 20th of this year. Middle Point, the Evergreen, the Evercenter ODD, which is the vacant property directly across the street. Again, non-motorized transit enhancements, the Northland Center, redevelopment ready certification quarterly reports, sustainability plan development that is currently being undertaken by our sustainability planner, zoning ordinance technical review, zoning ordinance amendments, just some ordinance text amendments that will be coming forward. There's a discussion about a residential lighting sunset clause, exotic animals ordinance, an ice chest ordinance, fence ordinance amendments, and then a discussion on tiny homes. These are the various training and themes that occurred with planning staff over the past year. From the standpoint of the items that cleared the Planning Commission and ultimately went to council, we had 3 rezonings that were processed, 1 conditional rezoning, 7 special land uses, 12 site plans, 5 overlay development districts, 1 residential unit development district, a revitalization plan, and 4 text amendments. In 2022, the total proposed development costs for all those projects that I just noted, $300,575,000. And in 2021, that number was $174,128,504. With that, unless there are any additional questions, can allow City Planner Crow to make any additional comments. Otherwise, we'd be looking at a recommendation for the 2022 Planning Commission Annual Report. Thank you.
The only comment I'll make is that, as you know, we were coming out of the pandemic, so the overall development costs were down in 2021 versus 2022. And there was extensive training by the planning department that we've, shared the best practice with you, incorporated into the master plan.
Okay. You mentioned Planner 1, I believe. Would you,
yeah, that's.
Would you mind introducing him?
Yeah, this is Alex Bolin. It's actually, his first name's Michael, but he goes by Alex. So if you ever get an email from him, it'll be M. Bolin. He's a 6-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force. He recently graduated from Grand Valley State University. I'll let him tell you a little bit more, but while he was finishing up his last semester, he actually traveled in from Muskegon 1 day a week to get embedded with our department and worked a little bit remote. And we were happy to offer him a full-time position after he graduated in December, and he's started with us the first week of January. We're happy to have him. He does have some interest in sustainability and will be assisting our sustainability planner. And so far he's getting a lot of experience doing a lot of different things, and we're glad to have him. So Alex, if you want to go up there and introduce yourself a little bit?
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Alex Bowen, from Muskegon originally. Have a wife, a couple dogs, couple cats, no kids. Wife's in nursing school right now, so just dealing with the daily stresses of what that brings her and what that does to me. So, but looking forward to working with you guys. Ready to chat whenever you guys want. So just give me an email or a buzz. Thanks.
Alex, you want to just explain some of your experience? I believe you were on the student liaison or with the Michigan Association of Planning.
Yeah, so through Grand Valley, I was able to become a co-chair of the Michigan Association of Planners board. As a student liaison, I was in charge of attending board meetings throughout the year, reporting back to other staff and other students, reporting on best practices. Also helped set up a student conference, student-led conference, where we talked about the built environment. We had the director of licensing for the marijuana board come around, talked about the future of marijuana and with the zoning. We had the Grand River Restoration Project come to speak about the project going on in Grand Rapids. It's like a 20-year project that they've been doing, dealing with all the environmental permits. And the other, I forget what the other project was, but we had a decent turnout. It ended up being virtual because of COVID, but we had like 100 people attend. Yeah, I also interned for Aligned Planning in Grand Rapids. She used to run William & Works, which was a planning firm over in that area. So I've just been doing some work with her, so that's my background.
Thank you, and welcome.
Could you tell me your last name?
Bolin, B-O-L-L-I-N.
In addition to assisting us in the Planning Commission, we're getting involved in doing the admin reviews and site plan reviews, and he might be, covering some meetings for us. He will be also, he's assigned to assisting me with the Arts Commission and the City Center Board, so he's going to get a wide range of experience. And I appreciate his military background, and maybe he can expound on it, but he's already replaced some tire pumps on our bike repair stations. He's not afraid to be hands-on and get his hands dirty and do whatever it takes. And we appreciate all of his intellect and his willingness to do the mechanical stuff as well. Maybe you can just share a little bit what you did in the Air Force. And
I was a vehicle mechanic, motor pool basically, just regular vehicles, nothing too special. Did that for 6 years. Did some call it commander support staff, so it's mostly admin, reviews, disciplinary actions, stuff like that. I was in RAF Lakenheath in England, South Korea, and then I spent time in Tampa and then Spokane, Washington as well. So.
And you, when you left, were you in E5?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that Staff Sergeant?
Yeah,
still
Staff
missing?
Sergeant in the Air Force. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did we approve the annual report?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a favorable recommendation for approval of the Planning Commission annual report for 2022.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Huntington, supported by Mr. Griffiths. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed. Motion passes. The next agenda item is the election of officers. I realize that the chair is not here, and I am acting, and I would like to say we already imposed upon her to let her know that she will continue to be the chair. Is there any opposition to that fact? No. Is it necessary for us to vote on that? She's aware and she is not rejecting.
You can nominate and vote on her, and
Okay. All in, well, are there any other nominations for chair? Okay. With that, can we have a vote? All in favor of Ms. Gunn continuing as chair?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. She's trapped.
And through the chair, I nominate Tony Martin to be vice chair.
All those in favor, sir?
I'd like to make a nomination for Vice Chair, Jeremy.
Who?
Jeremy
Griffiths.
Oh, I have no objection to that. I think that's,
I don't know, see if we can battle it out.
uh-oh,
Right
I'm
now.
going to get out the way.
All right, you have two nominees, and I would like to suggest that, you were going to say something, Mr. Spence?
Nope. Basically, I mean,
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Martin
would-
was, you were the first one to be nominated, so you would have a vote on that and see how it goes.
Can we have campaign speeches then?
Truly, I believe with the experience and background, Mr. Griffiths would be a better candidate for vice chair. I say that seriously because he's had more years of experience. You've been in office before too, haven't you? So,
All
and
through
truly,
COVID in the blank computer screen,
yeah, yeah.
those Zoom meetings.
That's the worst campaign speech
No,
I've ever heard.
I enjoy being on the planning commission, but as far as background knowledge, we have an architect on the planning commission. We need to use his full knowledge and background. It's that simple. I mean, it's logic.
So
No.
if I may, to Mr. Martin, you've
Withdraw.
been nominated, are you turning down the
I'm
nomination?
turning down my nomination.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
sir.
So that's
Thank
what I
you.
needed to hear.
Yeah.
Which means that the other nomination is Mr. Griffiths.
All right,
And I would recommend having a vote on that, please.
all right. All in favor of Mr. Griffiths being vice chair?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now you have secretary.
And now we have secretary.
Anyone who's interested, I'm supporting.
I believe Mr. Willis is once again being nominated for secretary.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Willis.
Second.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, then you would vote. If there are
Is
no
there a
more
vote?
nominations, then you have your
Nominate.
vote on Mr. Willis for secretary.
Any
Either
other
of
nominations?
the newer members have ambitions of being secretary?
You'd have your names and lights.
I already have a job across the street.
All those in favor of Mr. Willis?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So if I may, through the chair, for 2023, Dr. Stevens Gunn will remain chair, Mr. Griffiths is vice chair, and Mr. Willis will remain secretary. Okay, thank you.
So goes election of officers.
Yes. Now, we do have an item for discussion this
I'm not
evening,
elected yet.
after we got through with all the regular meeting items. So this is a site plan review request, PSP 22-0013. The petitioner is BMW Car Wash LLC, also known as Jack's Car Wash, located at 30705 Southfield Road. This is actually north of the car wash that we had earlier. This is closer to 13 Mile Road. Existing zoning for this property is B3, and again, it is an existing car wash already. The review request is for the construction of a 1,148.4 gross square foot addition to the existing car wash building. This addition would be adjacent or on the east side of the building, a little closest to Southfield Road. The reason it's coming to you is because it requires a waiver, because in the B3 General Business District, this particular, they had a waiver already, but they're getting closer to Southfield Road, which requires another waiver. So we have to go through a site plan review with Planning Commission and City Council for this. This is a closer look at the facility itself. Again, it is an existing building. Already has the vacuums on the north side of the building. This is a summer picture. I did not have a winter picture, but this is what it looks like. Again, as I noted, zoning is B3 General Business, and this is in the North Southfield Road sub-area. Area in red indicates the location of the proposed addition. So as I noted, it's about 1,100 square feet, and it would be located on the east side of the building closest to Southfield Road. So that's that area in the brighter yellow color on the east side or on the right side of the image. Elevations, so it is, again, would be a brand new look on the outside of the building on the frontage. Color scheme that's being proposed. And then with that, I do believe we do have a representative of Jack's Car Wash here this evening that could explain his project further.
Hello, Todd Gasson, 686 Elderberry Court, Commerce. I'm Vice President at Jack's Car Wash, and just as Jeff explained, we're requesting to add 17 feet onto the front of our building facing Southfield Road. The reason we're doing that, we are adding 17 feet of conveyor, which will allow us to add more drying equipment so that we can add, there's a new machine, new technology called the Dry and Shine, which is spinning brushes with towels on them. And we currently hand towel dry, so we do continue to, we're definitely going to continue to keep hand towel drying, but we're going to be able to get cars out faster because the cars will come out drier to that person that's drying the car, and he'll be able to dry the car in 15 seconds as opposed to 30 to 40 seconds because the car will come out less wet. So also the Dry and Shine, what it does, it seals some of the noise coming out of the building, so there'll be less noise outside of the car wash. The towels that are on the equipment absorb a lot of that sound. Also proposing, as you see in the pictures, we have a new look at Jack's, and this is part of our remodel that we're doing to a lot of our existing buildings and all of our new sites that we're building as well.
So the commissioners, are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I guess I should say that this is the car wash I go to every time I get my car washed, so I'm very familiar. It's a very, I spoke openly, almost comparing this car wash to the new one just to the south, so I think we need to continue that discussion. This is a cramped site, but I was there this Saturday in the very bright sun, and I was worried how busy it was going to be and that I wasn't going to be able to pull in the parking lot, and I could. It was, I'm going to estimate 15, 18 cars in the lines. It does move through quickly and well, which is crazy to think of how 60 stacking spaces is going to work down the road. But the site, it appears cramped on a site plan, but it does move through very well versus your other site on 10 Mile that I've also spoke about, so I'll be honest about that again, where there's constantly cars backed out onto 10 Mile Road and you got to drive around the lane. So it doesn't look much bigger, but this does flow through pretty well for a car wash. But I mean, it doesn't have a lot of the modern things that our zoning ordinance requires, the escape lanes and ability to get out of the site and around the building. So I think we have to bring those points up because the other new car wash had all those things. Definitely appreciate the improvements to the outside. I think that's going to be an upgrade. And I wrote it down earlier just because it jumped out to me. The other car wash is 79.8 feet off of Southfield Road, or is off the Southfield Road property line. I don't know how far this is, 17 feet?
This would propose it move to 17 feet. Right now it's 34 feet.
Yep. So I guess just to bring up the obvious, it's already very close to Southfield Road. It's already, I think most of the drying probably occurs outside of their property between the sidewalk and Southfield Road. So that's a good thing to speed up the drying and, you know, let the cars move through there quicker. But I guess I'm just curious if the planning department's comments would be similar to the small site and all the challenges. But this is the car wash that I go to, and I was planning to continue to go to, so just to be honest about everything I'm seeing. That's all. My questions or statements.
Mr. Huntington?
I go to this car wash quite often, and, you know, I've never seen a stacking problem before. I've been there some pretty busy days, but always seems to keep moving fairly well. It is time for update, and it's good you're doing that. I see you guys get kind of merged with another car wash here in town, which I'm not sure how that's going to affect anything, but I know the car wash on Telegraph to Jax is really, really tight. And it's probably a much older car wash. But overall, you know, the improvement will be good and definitely needed. So I'll look a little closer at your plans, but I think you're making a good move in updating your car wash.
Mr. Willis?
I have no questions.
Ms. Kubundai? Ms. Bermudi?
It's something that you really do need on that corner, so I don't have any input at this time.
Okay. Do you have a facility that has the new drying equipment already installed?
Not yet in Southfield, but we do have several locations now that has the dry and shine. Our location in Birmingham, our new super location on Woodward in Royal Oak has half of it. Our 11 in Woodward has it. So we are installing it. We plan to put it everywhere where we can fit it.
The question is, what type of performance are you getting out of the equipment versus what you have
It's
right
a major investment for the company, and we're getting it is doing what we have anticipated it to do, which is increase our throughput, cut down the amount of time that we're spending drying a car. We're not eliminating labor. We haven't been able to do that, and that wasn't necessarily the goal, but it's added value to the customer, added benefit. It enhances the wash experience, cuts down on sound. You know, we're all about trying to put out a clean, shiny, dry car, and it's definitely doing that.
Here again, I'm going to go back to the winter conditions in Michigan. Currently, most car washes you see as they come out to the street, there's wet concrete, there's water in the street. Do you anticipate this reducing it? Do you have anything planned for icing conditions? That's my biggest thing is seeing the water and knowing that it gets below freezing quite a bit in Michigan.
Absolutely. There will definitely be less water on the car. I think most of the water that comes off the car, that when it's exiting out of the car wash, is water that's underneath the car from the tires. There is all car washes have an underbody rinse, so a lot of that you see. So is it going to cut down tremendously on that? To be honest, probably not. But the car is going to be drier, so it will cut down a little bit. I don't have concrete evidence as to that, though. to be honest with you.
Do you have actions that you take when it is severely
Absolutely.
cold?
I mean, we have, we're very good with, we've been doing this for Super and Jack's. Super's now part of Jack's. We have over 100 years of car washing experience. We've been doing this for a long, long time in Michigan. And, just between salting, making sure we take care of our property, take care of the egress and ingress, very important.
Mr. Spence, I see this is a discussion item. Is there?
Yeah, this was just a discussion item this evening. This will come back to you later in the month for final review and decision.
Through the chair.
Site plan review? Would that be as a site plan review?
Yes,
or-
correct. Yes, it's a straight site plan.
Yeah, I had a
Mr. Crowe?
couple comments or questions. I mean, it looks like, this is an aerial, and it looks like there's a lot of water that's being picked up from the aerial photo. So I guess as piggyback on Mr. Martin's comments, do you have a heated concrete as the cars exit?
You know what, to be honest, I know some of our locations do. I am not sure if this location does, but I can get back to you on that.
Is there plans to do so if not?
I don't have the answer to that either.
You know, you're extending the building 17 feet closer. Average car is about 18, 20 feet, so that's one less stacking space. I guess, I know it seems to be functioning, but just intuitively, there's not a lot of room as the cars are exiting, should cars be waiting to turn. Now there's one less car.
But we do pull cars merge into two spots. So we're actually drying two vehicles at the same time.
I think what would be helpful is showing a diagram, because one of my questions was going to be, do you turn them off up there, to loop around?
Okay.
And because this is an older car wash, we don't have an escape lane. I just think it's logical that there could be some questions about, as the cars are exiting, you got 17 less feet, that they're not stacking up, waiting to turn, especially if someone's going to turn north. And I just think you have to have in your diagrams kind of show that circulation and what you do in those situations.
For sure. And on that, though, some of the thought, too, is that we're minimizing the amount of time that we're spending on a car. So we're not sitting on that car for 45 seconds and we're getting
I go
it
to
out
one
quicker.
in Novi that's pretty close to the road, and I always get nervous as I'm exiting, and there's a car or two, just two cars in front of me, and there's no more room. And someone's waiting to turn left when they're not supposed to, or someone's driving a car, and we got a conveyor belt, and there's a car behind. So I just see that same scenario happening there, and now you're 17 feet or one car less stacking before you're exiting. So I just want you to be prepared to respond to that when you come back.
For sure.
And Mr. Spence, is there any setback? I know that this is kind of an oblique with the aerial versus the property lines, but are there any non-conforming situations with the existing building?
The existing building does have a ZBA waiver. I don't recall the exact date of that waiver, but the existing building as it stands today did get a waiver for setback from Southfield Road.
What about the south side?
Yeah, so B3 general business, there's no setback requirement on side yard setbacks.
So then, if they've got an existing setback, obviously, I think you said they'll have to go back and get another waiver from the ZBA?
From the Southfield Road
right
away, yes.
So what's the, I guess, what's the requirement? What kind of waiver do they already have?
It was for, I believe it was for, you know what, if I may, you said the building is 34 feet away.
Yeah, the original setback was 60.
60 feet.
Variance was
34, okay, so the existing variance is 34 feet, was supposed to be 60 feet, got a waiver. to allow for 34 feet, so you're going to be coming 17 feet closer.
I mean, that's an extensive waiver. I just caution you, we have no control over the ZBA, but you're going from a 34-foot plus or minus, and you're reducing 17 feet and extending the waivers where it's almost, you're getting to the 75 percentile of what's required, is you're asking for a waiver. That could be, you know, a difficult sell with the ZBA. Is there, I know, so just thinking outside the box, is there a way of extending your building 17 feet back and then changing the equipment internally to, you know, reset the equipment internally so that now your drying equipment's in the front, but you're not moving the building any further to the front?
We did look at that. That would make a really tough turning radius into the building.
So the cars moving into the building need that turning radius to get around, so if you move it farther west,
I'm just going to ask you to investigate that, because I don't know those two yellow structures.
Those are the pay stations.
Okay, so maybe those have to be reoriented so that you get your proper turning. I just want you to be prepared for an alternate if the ZBA doesn't grant you what would be considered a pretty severe waiver based on what the ordinance requires. Just look at some other options. Maybe there's a way to redesign this where you don't have to seek a waiver.
Okay.
Question. There's a large propane tank at the very top left of this drawing. Is that something that's necessary or big revenue generator, just out of curiosity?
It is a revenue generator, and if we were building a site, we would never add to it. We took it over. They were very successful with it. It's a very popular place to refill your propane at, so we've kept it.
It's right in the turning radius, too. Yeah, it's tight.
Again, that might be another thing you can reconfigure, relocate, give you more turning room. It just seems like everything's really squeezed in there the way it's existing.
Okay.
Is there any further questions or items for discussion on this? When are they scheduled for the site plan review?
Would it be the 22nd?
Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
So
much.
that'll be the 22nd.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Mr. Spence, I guess we noted that there is a meeting planned for next.
Correct, yep. So this is the annual start for our CIP, the Capital Improvement Program. For those of you who have been on the commission in the past, this is a meeting that we do start at 3 o'clock because it does involve having the director from each one of the various departments come in and make a presentation on their capital improvements for the coming year. So that meeting will be held here, and it will start at 3 p.m.
Be held in the...
It will not be held, no, not in that room, it'll be held here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To the chair, I will not be in attendance at that meeting. Very large deadline from work that day. So may I be excused?
And that is a 3 p.m. meeting, so if there's an issue or concern with it, you need to bring that to Mr. Spence's attention as soon as possible.
If I may, as many of you have been involved, the study session on the 15th is where we bring the departments in. Those can be quite lengthy, but you will have another opportunity at your first meeting in March where I'll do the summary overview of that presentation before you make a recommendation. I think you're going to have two more bites at the apple. So, yes, we'd love to have all of you there that afternoon, but you'll also be seeing it, and we'll be providing you the documents and the presentation after the fact if you can't make it.
Okay.
You're not taking any action that day. It's just, it's part of the process.
To listen to their presentations on their money wants and needs. Are there any further comments, information, Mr. Spence?
No, sir.
Mr. Commissioner?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to adjourn the meeting at 8:20. Thank you.
Thank you all.